Ooh. It's a very interesting video came out. Some dude sitting at the Lakers game caught Stephen A. Smith looked like he was getting cussed out by LeBron James. And the greatest lip readers on the planet all exist on Twitter. Because we immediately found out that LeBron basically said, "I'm not gonna tell you again. Keep my son out of it," or some shit like that. And LeBron walked off. It's the time in which this occurred that got me. It wasn't at the beginning of the game. It wasn't at the end of the game. It was like in the middle of the game, like around halftime or some shit like that. LeBron could not let this shit wait any longer. He did it. He made sure people were around because that's how LeBron does things. He makes sure people were around to see his interaction with Stephen A. And honestly, it has started an interesting conversation about sportscasters and athletes, which that's crazy because I saw Deion Sanders pour water on the sports reporter who was talking crazy about it. What else did we see, man? We saw Floyd Mayweather go off on the ringside reporter after they spoke and he talked about whooping the dude ass. So it hasn't been uncommon seeing like sportscasters getting into it with the athletes that they talk about. But everything is magnified by social media and it's such a big deal. And it's really the fact that LeBron approached him about his son, who also plays for the Lakers, that makes this very much unique. I'll be honest. As a father, kind of get it. I kind of get it. I do. Like as a dad, you want to make sure you protect your kid, and they never stop being your kid.
Right.
Like, I don't care how grown they are, how old they are, they never stop being your kid. But at the same time, objectively speaking, Bronny is an adult in the NBA. Scrutiny is gonna come with it because honestly, LeBron, you brought it on. You're the one who said about watching the G League play that he could take a roster spot from a lot of guys. You said that. Nobody else put that on LeBron. On Bronny. You were the one that, gave us the story saying that you knew he was going to be in the NBA when he was like a baby or some shit like that. Like you did all of this stuff. You're also the one that won't necessarily allow him to travel with the G League team that he plays for. And you kind of keeping him right up under you. And you're the one that's doing this stuff. So when somebody says something about her, at the same time, like we gotta worry about you coming on the back end like none of that other stuff existed and people are just picking on it for no reason. When really the reason why you quit social media was because people kept throwing the shit that you said about your son back at you. And you put a lot of pressure on the kid. And that was always my problem with the whole draft and Bronny thing and having them play together. That was always my problem. It's like, man, what is it gonna do to this kid, right?
Right.
And we're seeing that play out in real time. And LeBron, rightfully so, stuck up for his kid. And it just so happened to be against the biggest sportscaster out right now. And so it's making quite a few rounds. Before we get to the fallout of this, what are your thoughts on, LeBron sticking up for Bronny and going at Stephen A. Smith publicly?
I'm kind of in the same lane, bro. Like, as a father, like I completely understand, man. As an athlete, not so much because that sets a terrible precedence going forward. That if anybody else has anything to say about Bronny, it could stain their image almost because I almost guarantee you're not gonna be as big as Stephen A is. So you're a lesser reporter or sports commentator, whatever. What do you think is going to be said about you? because this guy is considered to be one of the GOATs.
Mhm.
So if he can get this kind of backlash, what makes you think you safe? So
Exactly.
yeah, like as a grown man, bro, like you kind of never want to have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I was a little upset at Brian, you know, but again, I understand that it's hard to turn off that dad switch sometimes.
Yeah.
It's super hard. So
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah. And so you raise an interesting point. Beyond this, what does it mean? So Stephen A did his show. First of all, I want to talk about how the NBA is covered as a whole.
Hmm.
Because this interaction, there was a buildup that got us here. First, they asked LeBron about Anthony Edwards saying that he didn't want to be the face of the league. Now, the reason I think Anthony Edwards said that is because of all of the drama with his baby mamas and shit. That's the
Yeah,
real reason I think he said that.
100%.
But LeBron said, well, why would you want to be if people shitting on you all the time on TV? Other people have also communicated this. They're talking about inside the NBA and Charles Barkley, mainly Charles and Shaq.
Hmm.
Stephen A took that and kind of went at LeBron in a response earlier that week. Okay. Again, setting the stage for how we got here. So people kind of cited that Stephen A basically proved LeBron's point. Right. Right.
Hmm.
Then we get to the game, we get to the confrontation. Stephen A comes back. Oh no, hold on. Before that Thursday, Charles gets on and he calls Kendrick Perkins an idiot. And he kind of took a shot at Stephen A too.
Right.
And Charles' point was great. He said, all y'all talk about are the Lakers and the Warriors. You can say what you want about inside the NBA and how they cover the game and how they go it like a lot of talents. First of all, they're in a unique position with their greatness to really give some commentary about all the things going on. The second part of it is they talk about all the teams. I'm gonna give them
Everybody.
credit on that. They talk about all the teams every time they're on, and they are absolutely right. ESPN, First Take, and all those shows mainly just talk about the Warriors, the Lakers, or whatever messiness is going on, and it usually involves a Laker or somebody like Jimmy Butler, who is now a Warrior, right?
Right.
I see other shows, First Things First and The Herd. Those shows cover a lot more teams and all that, but ESPN specifically tries to stay on Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, and the Celtics are boring right now. So you can't really talk about them. Stephen A, since this interaction on his own podcast, kind of looked melancholic when he was talking. Like he looked like he was on the verge of some kind of depression or some shit. That shit really hit him. That shit, LeBron coming at him like that, really hit him in a way that he was not prepared. Right?
Facts.
So on top of that, he also said that like Draymond Green tried to talk to Draymond Green, he hadn't returned his calls and stuff, and other players are kind of unifying with LeBron on this, and they're freezing Stephen A out. Stephen A has always told us about the players that he talked to and all, and how he's not afraid of controversy and confrontation and all that kind of stuff. And that has hit him in a way that's so unique and that he's not used to. I've always said, I'd rather have you boo me than be indifferent and just ignore me entirely. Like
Facts.
that shit hitting Stephen A different way. I'm telling you, that shit is hitting him a different way. They really have stopped talking to him like that because of this. That shit is absolutely hitting him differently, man. And I want to get your side on this. With this, say what you want about Skip Bayless. Skip wouldn't have gave a fuck. I mean that. That's where the difference between Stephen A and Skip is. Skip when he gave a fuck about this, and Skip really would have rolled on it. He really would have been like, "Oh, y'all not talking to me?" Bet and just really go off. Stephen A, a different cat, man. Stephen A, like NBA players freezing him out. There's some unique shit for him because he was bothered by it when him and Allen Iverson was having their issues and all that kind of stuff. But this Stephen A, LeBron James thing been going on for a while because people from Clutch Sports and everything have been calling him and all that kind of stuff. They do have the LeBron and Rich Paul do have people and a mandate on how you're supposed to talk about LeBron and all that kind of stuff. And ESPN just fall in line with it. But I really want to see how differently Stephen A covers the game now. And it has been different since that interaction. With that being said, man, like, just what do you think about how the media as a whole, really ESPN should approach the game and its impact that ultimately got us here?
Man, this is crazy, man. Obviously there's a level of grit and tenacity that you want journalists to have because there's going to be a lot of times where they may catch the backlash for something they didn't even do. A player might be
Right.
frustrated and they come into the interview and they got to catch hell and you still got to go through that because that's your job. But the level of this magnitude, man, and I think the reason why it's really hitting Stephen A as hard as it is, like you say, is because he has a lot of personal relationships with a lot of these players outside of basketball. Not LeBron,
Right.
He's already come out and said that him and LeBron for the last handful of years have just been high and by on circumstances, and it's because the way he critiques them. And people might say LeBron might be soft for that, but I'm cool with it. Hey, if you ain't got no shit to say to me, bro, why am I shaking your hand all in your face, blah 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 with you, bro? Like, high and by, we keep it cordial. We walk past each other, man. But yeah, it's a whole new level, man. I don't think ESPN or anybody else is going to change the way they do this going forward. I think the main part that LeBron probably had a problem with was probably more so Stephen A on his own podcast and talking on other people's podcasts, which was the problem, his own platform. So,
And I think LeBron had been hearing it all year.
Yeah, definitely.
And Stephen A gave him a reason. And he saw Stephen A, and I think he saw Red. And he was just like, you know what? I'm about to make an example out of him. What makes this really remarkable is Skip talked about this man for the better part of 20 years.
Facts.
LeBron never responded to him. And Stephen A is the one that got LeBron still had said something about Skip. The only thing, the closest that we've come to LeBron saying anything about Skip is when we found out that he had a letter, "I told you so" letter written out. And he was going to explicitly name Skip if they won the finals in 2011. And because they didn't, they ended up winning in 2012 and 2013. It was like, well, now we know about the letter, so you damn sure can't say anything.
Facts.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how the NBA is covered by Stephen A going forward because he's still making videos talking about that whole interaction and all that kind of stuff. But like when I tell you that shit hit him, man, like that shit really hit him hard, and you can see it. You can see it.
Man. He just did a whole segment on Gil's Arena about it. Gilbert Arenas.
Right, exactly what I'm saying. He's still fucking talking about it. He's still talking about LeBron play, and LeBron tore his don't pull his groin and everything. Luka out, all that shit, man. He had a whole man problem, man. Still talking about the shit they had. I guess we still talking about it too.
U-GeekTV.